July 5th, 1943, south of Bykovka, Russia. Elements of the 1st Panzergrenadier Division have been ordered to penetrate the line and move on to Bykovka. Opposing them are elements of the 151st Guards Rifle Division, who have been ordered to hold the line at all costs. We will be commanding the 151st Guards Rifle Division, while my opponent, Bagatrix 1805, will take control of the 1st Panzergrenadier Division. Our force is comprised of not quite full 3 platoons of elite rifles, led by Captain Voroshilov and 2nd Lieutenant Bondarev, with 2 Maxim heavy machine guns and 2 DP light machine guns, 3 PTRD anti-tank rifles and 5 anti-tank grenade sets, reinforced by 4 ZIS-5 76mm anti-tank guns. We are in trouble here, as we quite simply lack manpower, and our ranged capabilities for taking out the panzers are also underpowered. We shall resort to literally assaulting panzers with our infantry. Germans, on the other hand, have 3.5 platoons of elite panzer grenadiers, led by 3 oberlieutenants, armed with 3 MG-34 light machine guns, support weapons, and 11 sets of grenades, and so are perfectly equipped to taking out our infantry. This is complemented by 2 mixed platoons of Panzer IIIs, 4s and 6s, latter known widely as Tiger tanks, or Tiger if you're not German. This packs quite a punch, and we shall be hard-pressed to just stay alive. Germans start in the fields to our west. They have plenty of cover to move up on us. If they choose the southern approach, we shall have reasonable lines of fire to attempt and thin their advance. If they choose the center, we would not be so lucky due to the wheat field there, providing quite a lot of concealment for the approaching troops, interfering with our aim. Our idea is to reinforce the front line, and if the panzers get too close, to assault them with our infantry using orchards and wheat fields for concealment. In order to intercept any panzers going through the northern woods, we are pulling everyone from the rear trenches and moving on the double to the woods. Again, with the idea of assaulting any panzers popping up there, utilizing the bounty of AT grenades we have been provided. This is going to be bordering on impossible, but if we can take out panzers, we might stand a chance still. As the opponent goes first, we start in our defensive fire phase and take out Panzer IIIJ, a good start to thinning the German armor. On our turn, we move our front line anti-tank rifle section into the woods, trying to move out of the line of fire of the closest 2 panzers. I do not realize here that I'm still in line of sight of 2 panzers on the southern approach road. What's worse, I'm also just in range of their secondary guns as well. As per our plan, we empty our rear trenches and double time it to the forest line. And in the south, our 2nd Lieutenant Bondarev moves his men forward to reinforce the southern front trench. I also decide that it is more important to combine firepower of the 2 heavy machine guns and move the northern team to link up with the central one. As expected, the southern 2 panzers managed to pin my anti-tank rifle section in the forest. I just have to suck it up and hope they don't get annihilated during turn 2. On turn 2, we lost a fire team from each of our anti-tank rifle sections on the front line. Furthermore, 1 German panzer penetrated the forest and set up on the northern road, making it tricky, but not impossible, to organize an assault on it. We put a lot of firepower downrange, but yield 0 results in our defensive fire phase. It looks like Germans are amassing both in the center and the south for the push through our lines. We try and cause some casualties down south, but only manage to suppress a light machine gun section. One of our rear center Zis 5 guns manages to immobilize a Tiger tank. It is still able to draw lines of fire to the south and the center, but importantly, it is no longer able to push our positions. We move up our section with anti-tank grenades from the northern road into the forest, but the Panzer IV-D opportunity fires and reduces it to a fire team, pinning it in place. However, its defensive fire exhausted leaves it vulnerable to assault. And so our infantry keeps moving towards the German tank and the woods. Please note that I have played this before being made aware of the new changes to the way expendable support weapons such as anti-tank grenades work, and so assault the Panzer without selecting my AT grenades, barely winning the assault but blowing up the German tank. We also consolidate our infantry at the edge of the field, hoping to slow down Panzergrenadiers in the woods. Turn 3 opens up with Germans having tried to push through our lines both north and south. In the northern forest, Panzer tried to park next to a fire team with anti-tank grenades, and got eliminated by the opportunity fire from them. Down south, Panzer attempted to overrun our trench. Our rear Zis 5 gun made a good spot and blew it up as it stopped just outside our trench. It seems the Germans are too eager to blow past us and are acting very careless. In the northern field, we have more pressing matters. And we try to deal with them by eliminating a whole section and pinning another one in the woods. In the German assault phase, as we have feared, Panzergrenadiers assaulted our southern trench, eliminating everyone within, at the cost of a single fire team for the opponent. During our turn, rear center Zis gun scores its second kill, by eliminating the opponent's Tiger tank, its crew bailing out. While the southern Zis gun takes out Panzer IIIJ, leaving Germans with only one disabled Tiger tank. They still have plenty of Panzergrenadiers to be able to accomplish their mission though. But we do thin that a little further by taking out another fire team from the regrouped German platoon in the forest and pinning the remainder of that section, while Captain Voroshilev regroups their men from the successful Panzer assault and moves forward in order to counterattack Germans in the forest. In their defensive fire phase, Germans do manage to eliminate a fire team from the platoon in the northern field. This changes our plans slightly, and our men pull back into the field, hoping to entice the Panzergrenadiers in the forest to move up for an assault, and expose themselves to an opportunity fire from Captain Voroshilev's men. In turn 4, we see that it didn't quite work out as we were hoping. Captain Voroshilev still orders their men to shoot, and they manage to take down a fire team of Panzergrenadiers. Overall, this push has cost my opponent quite a bit with reduction in men and pinned teams, but this might be just enough to overrun my dwindling defenses. And so, in the German assault phase, we see my worst fears realized. Positions were assaulted throughout, and our southern bunker was overrun, while our platoon in the northern field got completely wiped out. Thankfully, the assault on our central support position has failed, with Germans losing a whole section in the process, with the loss of fire team in the south and another section in the northern field. Central support position eliminates all the men assaulting it, leaving German commanding officers stranded. This mad German dash was a gamble, and while we are on our last legs, now so are they. As I do not know if the central position can hold, Captain Voroshilev moves south, keeping in the cover of the woods and positioning themselves either for an assault on a Tiger or a pursuit of Germans to the east. Turn 5 opens up with Germans keeping pushing forward. Their Tiger taking out our heavy machine gun fire team, and our rear Zis gun with opportunity fire eliminating the men responsible for wiping out our southern front trench. We are not able to do anything in our defensive fire phase, unfortunately, and so when we see opponent's assault phase, our central support position is overrun. That did cost Germans a fire team. Are they sacrificing too much in their med-east? Captain Voroshilov decides that the possible German breakthrough is more important than an immobilized Tiger and moves east in pursuit. In turn 6, Germans move outside of arcs of fire of our Zis guns. In our defensive fire, we have no choice but to fire at the immobilized Tiger tank. Even though we miss, crew loses their nerve and bails out, abandoning the tank and leaving Panzergrenadiers without any support, who move up further in their assault phase, exposing the northern men to our rear anti-tank gun yet again. We eliminate the last fire team there and pin their officers, which Captain Voroshilov's men catch up with and promptly assault. With our guns oriented towards the enemy, we close this chapter of history by winning the battle and the tournament by completely eliminating opponent's forces. So what could we have done better this game? Opening moves saw us following our plan quite well. We managed to get into the field and close in on a forest. However, more attention needs to be paid to the opponent's lines of fire, as our anti-tank rifle section didn't move far enough into the forest and lost men. Fiasco in the southern trench highlighted the issue with heavily reinforcing front without any reserves, as the south was blown wide open, and only thanks to our supporting fields of fire from the rear anti-tank positions were we able to thin Germans enough to prevent the same fate befalling the rest of our men. But what about our opponent? They went for a dispersal of their firepower, moving up panzers on the southern, central and northern axis, with Panzergrenadiers lagging slightly behind, allowing us to concentrate all our firepower on the tanks. More attention needed to be paid to the intervening terrain, as the opponent parked tanks in places that, while allowing them good lines of fire, done the same for us, with their tanks not achieving fire superiority due to being dispersed, and we took advantage of that. Their assault push in the second part of the game might have been born out of desperation as much as any tactical thinking, as they have barely reached the proximity of the objective on the last turn. In saying that, I still maintain that they should have acted with more caution, consolidating their troops up north and attempting to establish fire superiority first before their last push from that direction, obscuring them from most of the gun emplacements, instead of squandering their men in a fight of pure attrition. Let me know in the comments below what you think my opponent should have done instead. And check out this video to see how I took apart Soviet defense plane as Germans in this battle. And remember kids, do gaming, not war.